On their wedding anniversary, he went to pick up a female student. Soo-won sat in the window seat, having already waited for 2 hours. The candles in the restaurant were almost burnt out, and the waiter came over for the third time, asking her softly if she wanted the food served first. Soo-won glanced at her phone. Jo-soo's chat box was still stuck at an hour ago. It might be a bit late tonight. You can start eating first. She clutched those words, feeling a chill creep down her chest. Today was their 3rd wedding anniversary. To celebrate this meal, she had booked the table a week in advance and couldn't even exchange for the white dress she had once admired as pretty from last week's Soo. But since the evening began, she had been running a fever, her forehead aching, even her breathing felt stifling. She still came, because she always thought that if she could just be a little more understanding, maybe the marriage wouldn't be so cold. It wasn't until 9:40 p.m. that Jo-soo called. "Are you at the restaurant?" Soo-won's voice was hoarse. "You said." There was a moment of silence at the other end, followed by the sound of heavy rain and the crying voice of a young woman. "Teacher, I really don't dare to go back by myself." Soo-won's fingers tightened abruptly. Jo-soo lowered his voice and said, "Don't be afraid." To one side, then reopened. "Lin Yen had a conflict with her mentor group today. Her expression is very unstable, and it's raining outside. I need to take her back first." Soo-won was stunned. "Have you forgotten what day it is today?" "I haven't forgotten, but she's in a special situation now, so I'm especially not." "Jo-soo, I'm booking a flight ticket." There was a pause at the other end of the line, but Jo-soo's voice was still calm to the point of being ruthless. "Soo-won, she's just my student. Don't overthink it. You should go home first. I'll make it up to you another day." Soo-won looked out the window at the heavy rain and suddenly felt that the protective marriage was just like this rain, wet and cold with no end in sight. She asked, "Jo-soo, in your heart, I am not always ranked behind others. You're being unreasonable." In that moment, Soo-won only felt a buzzing in her heart, her fingertips feeling completely cold. She slowly hung up the phone and remained seated in the same spot. The waiter looked at her pale face and said cautiously, "Ma'am, are you all right?" Soo-won twitched her lips and said softly, "It's okay. Help me return the cake." The rain got heavier. She carried a bag and walked out of the restaurant, a cold wind blowing directly into her neck. The high fever and grievances surged together as she stood on the steps. Suddenly remembering what Jo-soo had said when he proposed 3 years ago, he said, "Soo-won, from now on, I'll put you on the table." Not all promises are kept. At least Jo-soo didn't. Her single word of grievance made me the villain. Early the next day, she still went to school in the evening. She didn't know what to think. But Jo-soo had not returned all night last night and still offered no explanation. Sitting at home, the more she thought, the more stifled she felt. So she decided to go directly to the event activity at the college he was affiliated with. In the lecture hall sat handsome teachers and students. Just as Soo-won walked to the door, she saw Lin Yanyan's profile, wearing a light-colored long dress, standing beside Jo-soo, with slightly red eyelids, looking like she had been wronged. Unknown to whom, someone saw her and whispered, "Professor Zhou's wife has arrived." Lin Yan turned her head abruptly, forcing a smile. "Madam Teacher, you're here." That voice elder sister was soft and gentle, as if trying to be friendly in the ears of others, but in Soo-won's ears, it felt like a reminder of her own identity. Jo-soo frowned slightly, walked over and asked quietly, "Why are you here?" "See how important your students really are." When Lin Yan thought about this, her eyes immediately reddened. "Teacher, did I make mother-in-law misunderstand me? I was really scared yesterday. I didn't intentionally take up your time." People around had already looked over towards the topic. Soo-won looking at her like this, the fire in her heart flared up instantly. "You know he's married. No, yesterday was our anniversary. And you're pushing him away. What are you making this scene for?" Lin Yan's tears fell as if by magic. "I didn't. I really didn't mean that." Jo-soo's expression was heavy. "Soo-won, enough." Soo-won looked at him in disbelief. "You blame me. This is a school, not a place for you to vent your anger." Jo-soo's voice wasn't loud, but it was cold enough. "Lin Yan is just a student. Don't think so little of her." Soo-won tightened the strap of her bag, her fingertips trembling. She had seen Jo-soo defend others before, but she had never been criticized by her own husband for lacking tact in front of so many people. Students whispered, murmuring in the audience. Faintly audible were the words, "Is the headmistress too sensitive?" Lin Yan sniffled and said, "Teacher, it's all my fault. I'll leave first." She turned around with her rich materials, and when she walked beside Su Wan, she gently tilted her head and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Mother-in-law, you look really ugly like this." Su Wan's face turned white instantly, but before she could speak, Zhou Su followed her up. "Lin Yan, stop right there." He didn't even turn to look at her. Su Wan stood still, listening to the lowered murmurs around her, and suddenly felt as if a damp cloth was blocking her chest, so heavy that she couldn't catch her breath. She realized for the first time that in marriage, she was like an outsider. While Lin Yan felt wronged, she became the villain in her own eyes. He took her home, but forgot about me on the plane ticket. When Su Wan returned home, her fever had grown even worse. She had planned to drink some hot water and go to sleep, but when she was pouring the water, her hand slipped, and the glass cup fell to the ground. Shattering into pieces, she stood leaning on the dining table for a long time, until she finally didn't even have the strength to clean it up and had to lean against the back of the chair. The rain outside hasn't stopped. Zhou Su is still not back. It's past 1 in the morning when the sound of a lock being opened came from the door. Su Wan only then opened her eyes to see Zhou Su entering with wet hair, still carrying a bag of medicine. "Why are you sitting here?" He frowned. "Didn't I tell you to rest first?" Su Wan looked at him. "You only know to come back now." Zhou Su took off her skirt, her tone filled with concern. "Lin Yan's emotions are volatile. I can't rest assured. After sending her back, I went to the hospital with her again." "What's wrong with her?" "It's nothing serious. Just a bit startling." Su Wan laughed at this scene, but not a trace of joy reached her eyes. "So she can call you, and you can abandon me to be with her until midnight." "Zhou Su, are you really her teacher? Or something else to her?" Zhou Su's expression turned colder. "You can't always think of the worst possible scenario." "I'm thinking negatively." Su Wan's voice trembled. "I had a fever of 39 degrees yesterday and walked back from the restaurant by myself. Today at school, in front of so many people, you protected her and criticized me. Now you tell me, am I overthinking?" Zhou Su fell silent for a moment, placing the medicine in front of her. "Eat the medicine first." Su Wan didn't move. "Do you know I almost fainted on the road last night?" "You are currently powerless." That sentence was like a dull knife, slowly cutting open her last bit of hope. She looked at him, and suddenly didn't want to say anything more. Zhou Su probably felt the atmosphere was off too. His tone softened. "Su Wan, I'm just responsible for taking care of the students. Don't cause trouble. Once this busy period is over, I'll take you out to relax." Su Wan closed her eyes. "You always say this." Zhou Su didn't respond, but turned into a sponge. The sound of water quickly came to life. Su Wan sat in the stage, looking at the pile of broken glass on the ground that hadn't been cleaned up, and suddenly felt that her marriage to Zhou Su was also like this. Long cracked. But she had always refused to admit it. Early the next morning, Zhou Su forgot to take his phone before going to school. When the screen lit up, Su Wan instinctively glanced at it. On the top of the dryer, prominently displayed, was Lin Yan. The latest message was sent 10 minutes ago. "Teacher, thank you for taking me home yesterday. Whenever I think of you being there, I'm not afraid of anything." Su Wan followed those words, her heart sinking bit by bit to the bottom of the valley. It turned out she wasn't overthinking. Someone had already crossed the line. And Zhou Su, he had silently permitted it. "I didn't ask. It doesn't mean I can't see." After that day, Su Wan no longer argued with Zhou Su. She suddenly remembered a sentence, continued cooking, kept the house in order as usual, and even when Zhou Su came home late, she didn't ask anymore. Zhou Sun probably thought she had finally figured things out, his expression relaxing a bit. Su Wan only then realized that she hadn't truly understood. She had merely begun to see things more clearly. For the first time, she seriously paid attention to Zhou Su's life. She noticed the subtle lightness in his expression when he replied to messages, observed that he would go to the balcony when answering calls, noticed that he came home later and later, and occasionally brought back a faint scent of perfume. It wasn't the brand she used. A week later, the college's open lecture ended, and Su Wan originally planned to give Zhou Su a file, but saw Lin Yanyan standing beside him with a stack of papers. Looking up at him while speaking, Su took the materials from her, and also casually took her laptop bag. The movements natural as if he had done it many times before. Su-won stood not far away, with nothing ahead. She saw Lin Yan smiling and saying something, and Su also lowered his head and smiled slightly. That was the gentle expression he no longer showed in her presence long ago. When returning home in the evening, Su found her in the hall and casually explained. There were many student papers today, and I helped out a bit. Su-won asked faintly, do you need help just for her? A student? Su paused. Her foundation is average, and she's under a lot of pressure, so it's normal for me to carry her a bit more. Su-won didn't press further, just watching him place his phone on the desk. But the screen remained facing down. At night, after Su fell asleep, Su got up to get water in the kitchen and heard his phone was off when he came back. She didn't want to look, but the moment the screen lit up, it still caught her eye. A photo sent by someone else. In the photo, Su and Lin Yan stand in the underground parking lot. Su pulls open the passenger door for her, and Lin Yan leans into the car, the angle being intimate as a couple in love. The sender didn't leave a note, just attached a sentence. Teacher's wife. Are you really not going to handle it? Su-won stood in the darkness, feeling cold all over. She suddenly remembered her silence these days, as if she were making way for others. But her lack of inquiry doesn't mean she can't see. Some things, once seen, can never be pretended not to know again. In the hospital, he stood on her side. The next morning, Su-won went to the hospital alone. She had been having poor appetite and dizziness with nausea recently. She initially thought it was due to lingering emotions and a fever. But after a blood test, the doctor looked up at her and smiled. Congratulations. You're more than 5 weeks pregnant. Su-won stared for several seconds before slowly taking the check form. She looked down at the words, her fingertips unconsciously tightening. But a long-awaited tenderness rose in her heart. She and Su had been married for 3 years and had never had children. Not because she didn't want to, but because Su always said he was too busy with work and wanted to wait until things were more stable. They had only truly started trying to conceive last year. Su-won had fantasized countless times about what would happen if they had a child, whether they would become closer like ordinary couples. She originally wanted to tell Su right now, but just as she reached the entrance of the obstetrics and gynecology department, she saw a few people gathered at the end of the corridor. Lin Yan was sitting on a bench, her face pale and her eyes red-rimmed. Su was half kneeling in front of her, his voice low, almost gentle. Don't be afraid. It's already okay. Lin Yan gripped his sleeve, as if holding on to her only support. Teacher, I didn't intentionally mess up the experiment data. They're blaming me. I'm so scared. I'll handle things. Just calm your emotions first. Su-won stood in place. The pregnancy test report in her hand creased from being pinched. She suddenly found it quite absurd. She had come to the hospital alone, received the news of her pregnancy without her husband, without a hug, without a single word of concern. Her husband was in the same hospital, comforting another woman. When Lin Yan looked up, she saw her, and a strange flicker crossed her eyes. The next second, she called out, "Auntie teacher." Her eyes red. Su turned back, his expression clearly stunned. "Why are you here?" Su-won slowly folded the checkup slip and said in a soft voice, "To see a doctor." "Why didn't you tell me? Aren't you busy?" Su seemed not to notice the coldness in her tone, only frowned and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Before Su-won could speak, Lin Yan suddenly supported her forehead and swayed gently. Su immediately turned to support her. "Are you dizzy again?" Su-won watched his actions, and her heart sank bit by bit. She suddenly didn't want to speak anymore. She didn't want to tell him that she was pregnant, nor did she want to let herself be like someone waiting to be assigned a little bit of care. She put away the checklist and said softly, "Nothing serious. I'll go first." Su seemed like he wanted to chase after her, but Lin Yan wouldn't let go of his sleeve, her eyes panicking as if she were about to cry. "Teacher, don't leave. I'm scared alone." Su-won glanced back. That glance completely extinguished the last bit of tenderness in her heart. She quietly turned around and walked out of the hospital. The corridor was very bright, but she felt as if she had walked into a very long winter alone. I suddenly don't want to tell him about being pregnant. Soo-won tucked the pregnancy test report into the deepest part of the drawer. Not telling anyone. Jo-soo came home very late, as if he wanted to explain about the hospital, but was cut off by Soo-won as soon as he opened his mouth. Let's eat. The food is getting cold. Her tone was unnervingly calm, and Jo-soo felt somewhat out of place. You look very pale today. Is nothing really wrong? It's nothing. What did the hospital check for? Soo-won lowered her head to serve the soup. Routine checkup. Jo-soo looked at her for a few seconds, as if trying to read something on her face, but ultimately didn't ask anymore. Halfway through the meal, his phone lit up. Soo-won looked up. Jo-soo almost subconsciously picked up his phone, opening the message quickly, as if afraid she would see, but she still saw it. Lin Yen sent a photo, showing a dark gray men's coat resting on the back of her chair. The caption had only one sentence. Teacher, I've washed your coat. I'll bring it to you tomorrow. Soo-won's hand holding the chopsticks tightened slowly. That coat is the one Jo-soo wears most often. Last winter, she accompanied him for half a block before they managed to buy it. And even the lining color of the cuffs was the one she personally selected. She suddenly felt a bitter sensation in her throat. Why is your coat at her place? She asked. Jo-soo hesitated noticeably, then said casually, the day before yesterday, she got caught in the rain. And I lent her my coat to wear. Finished borrowing. She still needs to wash it before returning it to you. Soo-won. Jo-soo frowned. Can't you let go of these small things? Soo-won looked at him and suddenly smiled. Yes. In your eyes. These are all small things. Being taken away by a female student late at night is a small thing. Accompanying a female student in the hospital while leaving her pregnant wife alone is a small matter. Putting one's coat on someone else's shoulders is also a small matter. Only her sadness, her unease, her dignity, all of it is unimportant. That night, Soo-won lay in bed for a long time unable to fall asleep. She gently placed her hand on her abdomen, and for the first time, a clear and almost cruel thought arose in her mind. Perhaps this child should not have been born into this marriage. Perhaps her life could no longer continue revolving around Jo-soo. The next morning, Jo-soo went for a bath. Leaving his phone on the bedside table, the screen lit up again. It was still Lin Yen. Teacher, thank you for talking with me for so long last night. Whenever I think you're still there, I feel like I'm not alone. Soo-won stared at the message and suddenly chuckled silently. She finally understood. It wasn't that she thought too much. It was Jo-soo who gave others favor that shouldn't have been given, yet still demanded she be understanding and forgiving. She fell. And all the blame fell on me. On the day of the college's annual open event, Soo-won originally didn't want to go. But Jo-moo called early in the morning, asking her to make an appearance as a family member, saying that she couldn't let others laugh at her in such a situation. Soo-won hesitated for a while, but still went. There were many people in the auditorium. As the student representative, Lin Yen was responsible for guiding the guests, dressed appropriately, with a polite smile, nodding politely to everyone she met. She saw Soo-won and her expression froze for a moment, but she quickly walked over and said in a low voice, "Mother-in-law, I'm sorry about last time. The teacher has already scolded me. Please don't be angry anymore." This sounded like an apology, but several gazes instantly fell on Soo-won. Soo-won felt a chill in her heart and only said lightly, "Stay away from me." Lin Yan's eyes immediately turned red. "I really didn't mean to." Just then, the host called her up. Lin Yan turned around and walked quickly towards the steps, but when she stepped on the second one, she suddenly screamed. Her whole body leaning back and rolling down directly. A commotion broke out on the scene. She lay on the ground, covering her arm, tears streaming down immediately. Someone asked her what happened. She looked up at Soo-won, as if frightened, her lips trembling. But she dared not say anything. That hesitation was more fatal than direct accusation. A second later, Jo-soo rushed over, catching Lin Yen and helping her up. "Where did you fall?" Lin Yen shook her head, her voice so faint it seemed about to break. "I'm fine. Sister-in-law didn't mean to." The air instantly fell silent. All gazes were fixed on Soo-won. Soo-won froze. "I never touched her." Jo-soo turned to look at her, a suppressed anger in his eyes. "Soo-won, when do you plan to stop this nonsense? It wasn't me. Only you and her are closest here." Suwon only felt a chill creeping up from her feet. So you didn't even ask and just assumed it was me. Lin Yen cried even harder. Teacher, don't blame the headmistress. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have angered her. Zhou Su's expression turned extremely grim. He grabbed Suwon's wrist and pulled her aside. His voice cold and deep. Can't you stand her? His fingers clenched her wrist painfully. And Suwon struggled slightly, but she couldn't break free. Zhou Su. Let me go, she said, her face pale. I told you, it wasn't me. Could she be joking with herself? As soon as she said this, Suwon suddenly became quiet. She looked at Zhou Su and suddenly felt very tired. It turned out in his heart. One sentence of grievance from Lin Yen was more worthy of belief than her entire person. But just as she wanted to shake off his hand, a sharp pain suddenly surged through her lower abdomen. The pain came too quickly and too fiercely. Suwon's face instantly turned deathly pale, and a cold sweat broke out on her forehead. She instinctively covered her abdomen, her body swaying. Zhou Su finally noticed something was wrong. Suwon, what's wrong with you? Suwon opened her mouth, but before she could speak, everything went black in front of her. She only heard someone gasp. Then her whole body lost strength and she fell to the ground. The night I miscarried. He was with her. When Suwon woke up again, she smelled the scent of hospital disinfectant. It was already dark, and only a dim bedside light was on in the room. She stared blankly at the ceiling, her ears buzzing, as if she couldn't gather her thoughts back together for a long time. Not until the doctor walked in and asked her softly how she felt. Suwon moved her lips, and her first words were, "Where is the child?" The doctor paused. "I'm very sorry. The child didn't make it. You were already in poor emotional and physical condition, and the severe shock only made things worse. We arrived too late." At that moment, Suwon only felt as if something had been ruthlessly hollowed out of her chest. She didn't cry. She just slowly placed her hand on her abdomen, where it had become empty and devoid of even a trace of warmth. She couldn't hear what the doctor said again. After who knows how long. The hospital room door was finally pushed open. Zhou Su stood at the door, looking exhausted, with a faint water stain on the cuff of his shirt that hadn't been wiped clean. Suwon looked at him and suddenly smelled the familiar scent of his light perfume. It wasn't hers. She asked lightly, "You're just here now?" Zhou Su walked a few steps closer, seeming a bit uncomfortable. Lin Yen is emotionally on the verge of a breakdown, crying all the time. I only came after I settled her. Suwon closed her eyes. So on the day she lost her child, he still put someone else first. Zhou Su whispered, "What did the doctor say?" Suwon looked at him, and after a long time, she whispered, "I've lost the baby." Zhou Su froze completely. "What did you say?" "I'm pregnant," Suwon said in a tone that was frighteningly calm. "I wanted to tell you, but I changed my mind later." Zhou Su's expression changed instantly, as if unable to believe it. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" Suwon suddenly laughed. The smile was faint, but it tightened his chest. "Why would I have said so early?" She looked at him. "When I was waiting for you at the restaurant, or when I saw you with her at the hospital." "Zhou Su, I didn't even get the chance to tell you." "And that was something you missed yourself." Zhou Su's Adam's apple bobbed. And after a moment, he whispered, "I'm sorry." Suwon didn't respond. These three characters came too late. So late that even the child in her belly couldn't wait. Suddenly, hurried footsteps were heard outside, followed by a voice with a sob. "Teacher, are you here? It is Lin Yan." Suwon's expression grew colder and colder. Zhou Su subconsciously turned his head, his expression clearly disheveled. The hospital room door was pushed open, and Lin Yan stood there with red-rimmed eyes. Seeing Suwon awake, she seemed a bit flustered. "Teacher mother, I heard you were hospitalized. I was very worried." Suwon stared at her, her eyes devoid of any warmth. "Go out." Lin Yan froze. Tears immediately fell. "I just wanted to see you. I told you to leave." Zhou Su frowned. Suwon. She is also well-intentioned. In that instant, the last bit of something in Suwon's heart completely shattered. She slowly turned her head, her voice very soft but trembling with cold. "Zhou Su. Go out. You all go out." This time, she didn't cry. Because after the heart dies, people really can be very calm. It turns out that after the heart dies, a person can truly be very calm. On the day of discharge, Soo-won didn't let Jo-soo come to pick her up. She finished the procedures herself and carried the bags back home. The wind was very cold on the way, making her face pale, but her heart was unusually quiet, as if all the hysteria had passed. Only the emptiness after a complete heartbreak remained. After coming home, her first action was not to cry or sleep, but to organize the marriage certificate, property documents, bank cards, and her own identification one by one, neatly placing them into a folder. Then she sat at her desk and began to inventory the things she had kept in this house over the past 3 years. When Jo-soo came home that evening, he saw several cardboard boxes piled in the living room and was visibly taken aback. "What are you doing?" Soo-won didn't raise her head. "Pack your things. You just came out of the hospital. Don't make a fuss." He walked over, reaching out to take the things from her hands. "Let's talk about it later." Soo-won avoided his hand. She stood up, placing a file on the coffee table. "Read this first." Jo-soo lowered his head, and his pupils constricted sharply when he saw the words at the top. "Divorce agreement." "Soo-won, what do you mean?" "Literal meaning." Her voice was calm. "I want a divorce." Jo-soo's expression darkened. "You want a divorce because of this incident. It's not because of this time." Soo-won looked at him. "It's because you always chose someone else." Jo-soo frowned. "I admit I handled this badly this time, but you don't need to make a scene." Suddenly, Soo-won found it quite ridiculous. Even now, he still thought she was just being childish. "You know what I was thinking while lying on the operating table?" she whispered. "I was thinking, if I had left you earlier, would the child have been saved?" Jo-soo's face turned pale. Soo-won didn't stop. "Jo-soo, I don't want to argue with you anymore. I don't want to prove how wronged, pitiful, or worthy of your glance I am. It's meaningless." When she said this, there was not a trace of excitement on her face. Instead, she was so calm that it made people uneasy. Jo-soo felt an indescribable unease for the first time. He reached for the agreement but didn't open it, just stared at her and asked, "Have you thought it through? Be clear-headed." Soo-won, his voice lowered. "Don't be impulsive. I'm clearer than ever right now." Jo-soo stared at her for a long time, as if trying to find a trace of stubbornness on her face. But there wasn't any. She really doesn't want him anymore. This realization made his heart sink inexplicably. In the next second, he still pushed the agreement back with a cold face. "I don't agree." Soo-won didn't say anything more, just nodded gently. "It's okay. You will agree sooner or later. You were the first to protect her." For the next few days, the house fell into a strange silence. Soo-won was neither noisy nor demanding, nor did she ask about Jo-soo's whereabouts anymore. She seemed to be detaching herself from this house bit by bit in the gentlest way possible. Jo-soo, however, grew increasingly restless. He found that Soo-won no longer messaged him, no longer reminded him to eat on time, nor left a light on late at night waiting for him. Even when he spoke, she merely nodded politely, as if to a stranger sharing the apartment. This silence bothered him more than any argument. That night, he finally opened the divorce agreement and, after reading a few pages, his expression grew increasingly grim. "You don't need a share of the property. Just your own savings and work documents after marriage." He looked up at her. "Do you want to cut me off like this?" Soo-won was folding clothes and said calmly upon hearing, "It's not cutting off. It's ending." "I said, I won't divorce." Soo-won looked up at him. "Why won't you divorce?" "Because we haven't reached that point yet." Soo-won chuckled lightly. "So, which step do you think counts as reaching it?" Jo-soo said in a low voice. "There is nothing between me and Lin Yen. You insist on twisting my normal student care into a problem of emotions. It's not fair to me. Injustice." Soo-won repeated those 3 words, finding it incredibly laughable. "Jo-soo, you're talking about fairness with me now." She put down the clothes in her hand and looked at him directly for the first time in these few days. "Did you leave me for her on our wedding anniversary? Is that fair? Did you comfort her first on the day I had a miscarriage? Is that fair? When she fell down the stairs, you didn't listen to any explanation and immediately accused me. Is that fair?" Jo-soo was speechless for a moment when she asked, and only after a while did he whisper, "I'm just afraid it will get out of hand. So you sacrifice me first." Soo-won's voice wasn't loud, but every word was clear. "It was you who protected her first. Jo-soo, You keep protecting her again and again. Yet you expect me to understand you, to sympathize with you, to wait for you to look back at me. But I'm also a person. I can feel pain. I can get tired. And I can be completely disappointed. Zhou-Su's expression darkened, as if something had struck a sore spot. He snatched up the divorce agreement and tore it in half in front of her. I said I don't agree. The sound of the papers shattering was particularly jarring in the living room. Su-Wan quietly watched the pages fall to the ground. But there was no trace of emotion in her eyes. I can still print 10 more after you tear one, she whispered. Zhou-Su, I'm getting a divorce from this marriage. What you can't let go of has never been me. Zhou's mother arrived on the third day. As soon as she walked in, she saw the separated cardboard boxes and luggage bags in the living room, and her expression immediately darkened. Su-Wan, what are you doing? Just because the couple had a few arguments, you want a divorce? What kind of example is that? Su-Wan poured a cup of warm water and placed it in front of her. Mom, sit down. You still have the nerve to ask me to sit. Zhou Mu's voice rose a few pitches. Zhou-Su is so busy with work. There are so many things at the academy. And you don't help share the load. Instead, you're here causing a divorce. What will outsiders think of our family? Su-Wan looked at her, without the slightest fluctuation in her heart. She used to fear making Zhou mother angry. Zhou-Su's father passed away young, and Zhou mother raised him alone. She had a strong-willed nature and always looked down on her. And daughter-in-law from an ordinary family background. Su-Wan endured so much to keep the family harmonious. But now she suddenly didn't want to endure it anymore. Mom, I'm not causing trouble. Then what is this? It's a decision made after careful consideration. Mother Zhou sneered. So, it's just a student who made you unhappy. Zhou-Su is a teacher. Taking care of students isn't his job. As a wife, you don't even have this much tolerance. How will you live together in the future? Su-Wan looked at her and said slowly, I miscarried. The air grew deathly silent. The anger on Zhou Mu's face froze. What did you say? Su-Wan took out the hospital records and test results, placing them on the table. The child is already gone. Zhou Mu's fingers trembled. She lowered her head and flipped through a few pages, her expression changing bit by bit. But after a long silence, her first words were, How come you didn't say this earlier? Su-Wan laughed. It's that line again. Everyone is asking her why she didn't say it sooner. But no one has thought about why she didn't want to say it. Even if I say it. What? She whispered. Can he take some time to visit me while he's accompanying Lin Yan? Mother Zhou looked displeased. How can you be so blunt? Child, I'm just telling the truth. At this moment, Zhou-Su came out of the study, saw the medical records on the table, and his expression tightened noticeably. Zhou's mother turned to glare at him. What's going on here? Are you and that student going too far? Zhou-Su pressed his lips together, not answering directly, only murmured, I'll handle it. Su-Wan heard this and suddenly felt it was utterly ironic. Even now, he was still thinking about handling the situation, not admitting, not facing, nor trying to salvage it. She looked at him and slowly said, Zhou-Su, what you can't bear to lose has never been me. What you can't bear to lose is the self you believe is never wrong in others' eyes. This sentence, like a needle, pierced straight into Zhou-Su's heart. He stood there, unable to refute for a moment. She plays pitiful. I'll give her what she wants. The day after Zhou Mu left, Lin Yan actually came looking for her. She stood at the door, dressed in a plain dress, looking haggard, holding a box of tonics, as if she had come specifically to apologize. Su-Wan opened the door and saw her, her expression unchanged. Is there something? Lin Yan bit her lip. Teacher mother. Can I come in and talk to you for a few minutes? No. Lin Yan's eyes immediately turned red. I know you hate me, but I really didn't mean to. Teacher hasn't been feeling well these days either. He's always felt guilty. Su-Wan leaned against the door, looking at her faintly. Are you here to apologize for him, or to whitewash yourself? Lin Yan was speechless for a few seconds before whispering, I know how good teacher has been to me and that he misunderstood you, but he's just soft-hearted. Actually, I envy you. After all, he married you. Su-Wan, listening to these words, only felt absurd. This is not an apology. This is provocation. She looked at Lin Yan's red eyes and suddenly realized, the girl who was the most skilled at Was wrapping her ambitions in grievances. Making everyone think she was innocent. Jealous of me. Soo-won chuckled lightly. Jealous of me getting married for 3 years. Celebrating our anniversary alone. Carrying a miscarriage alone. Even having to guess who my husband is standing by. Lin Yan's expression tightened. I didn't mean that. You're right. You didn't. Soo-won stared directly at her. What you've wanted all along wasn't an apology. What you want is for me to back down. Preferably for you to take my place. Right. Lin Yan's gaze finally changed. Once the facade was broken, she didn't try so hard to maintain it. She whispered, Teacher, the master will eventually realize who needs him more. Soo-won listened. And instead she became completely calm. She opened the door, took a step back, and gave her a way out. If you like acting so much, then I'll give you a stage. Lin Yan froze. Starting today. The position you want. I don't want it anymore. Soo-won looked at her, saying word by word, but you'd better remember, things taken by force may not be kept. After that, she directly closed the door. Soon, several quick knocks came from outside, but Soo-won didn't pay attention anymore. She stood in the living room, and suddenly felt a sense of ease she had never had before. It turns out that truly letting go is not to cry or scream wildly. They're too lazy to even argue anymore. The day I moved out of the marital home. The day Soo-won moved out. The weather was very good. Sunlight streamed through the gap in the curtains, falling onto the floor, bright and clear, as if reminding her that this page was finally turning. She called a moving company to pack her belongings piece by piece. Clothes, books, documents, a computer, and the green plant she had raised for 3 years all were moved neatly. Jo-soo returned home temporarily in the morning and was visibly stunned to see the living room half empty. You're serious? Soo-won was lowering her head to seal the box. And upon hearing this, she only faintly nodded. Soo-won. Jo-soo walked up to her, as if wanting to say something, but only a sentence remained on his lips. Don't regret it. Soo-won looked up at him for a moment, and suddenly felt very strange. She used to hate seeing him frown and feared hearing him say harsh words. But now, none of these could stir any emotion in her. I won't be the one regretting it. Jo-soo's expression darkened, as if stung by her words. But he couldn't bring himself to insist. Merely said coldly, if you want to calm down for a few days, I won't stop you. But regarding divorce, I still say it's impossible. Soo-won didn't argue with him. She just pulled out the last drawer of the bedside table in the bedroom, where a handwritten notebook lay quietly. It had 4 characters written on the cover. Pregnancy preparation records. Jo-soo hesitated for a moment, instinctively reaching out to pick it up. The first page is Soo-won's handwriting, neatly recording the date, diet, check results, and some reminders he casually mentioned. The second page says, Jo-soo has been too busy lately. I want to wait until after he gets his professional title before telling him. I really look forward to us having a child. The third page says, I went to the hospital for a checkup today, and the doctor said I'm recovering well. I hope our baby will be like him. A bit quieter, a bit smarter. The words fell onto his eyes line by line, and Jo-soo's fingers gradually tightened. He never knew that Soo-won had prepared so much for that child in private. Soo-won took the notebook from his hand and calmly put it into the box. This doesn't concern you anymore. Soo-won. Jo-soo's voice was hoarse. I don't know why you remember these. There are many things you don't know. The movers shouted that the truck had arrived. Soo-won lifted her suitcase, taking one last look at the house where she had lived for 3 years. It had once been filled with her expectations for marriage. Now, only exhaustion and disappointment remained. When she pulled open the door, Jo-soo stood his ground, neither chasing nor blocking her. He probably still thought she was just angry, thinking she would come back in a few days. But Soo-won knew, this time, she wouldn't. When he got the divorce certificate, his eyes turned red. A month later, Jo-soo finally signed the divorce agreement. It's not because she had an epiphany, but because Soo-won really moved out and never looked back. She hired a lawyer. The terms were clear. Her attitude was calm, with no room for negotiation. There weren't many people at the Civil Affairs Bureau that day. Soo-won wore a simple beige coat, her hair tied up, her expression as calm as if she were just handling a routine procedure. Jo-soo stood beside her, his face clearly troubled. Even his fingers tightened when signing the papers. When the divorce certificate was handed to her, Soo-won took it steady. Jo-soo stared at the two small notebooks for a long time without moving. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, the wind was a bit strong. Soo-won put the divorce certificate in her bag and was about to step down the stairs. Jo-soo suddenly spoke. Soo-won. She stopped but didn't turn back. Is there something else? Jo-soo's Adam's apple rolled. You don't feel even a little bit sad? Soo-won was silent for a few seconds before whispering. The hardest time has already passed. After she finished speaking, she walked straight ahead. Jo-soo stood in place, looking at her back, and suddenly felt a kind of confusion he had never experienced before, as if something that originally belonged to him was slowly slipping out of control and could never be regained. He remembered the empty house during this time, remembered that no one had managed his routine since she left, remembered the light that would never light up again when he came back at night, remembered the densely packed words in the pregnancy diary. It turns out that losing someone really does make a sound, like a sudden void in some part of the heart. Soo-won got into a taxi and didn't look back at him. The moment the car door closed, Jo-soo's eyes suddenly grew warm, and he didn't even realize that the corners of his eyes had turned red. Just then, his phone rang. It was a message from Lin Yen. Teacher, can you go with me to the banquet tonight? I'll be nervous alone. Jo-soo stared at the message, not replying immediately this time. He suddenly felt tired, even somewhat annoyed. He once thought he was only taking care of Lin Yen out of responsibility, but now, when Soo-won really pulled out of his life, he felt for the first time a clear sense of regret. Unfortunately, it was too late. After the divorce, I returned to my own position. 10 days after the divorce, Soo-won started working at a new educational institution. She had already worked in the college administrative system for several years, and was proficient in process coordination, project management, and resource alignment. But after her marriage, to accommodate Jo-soo's schedule, she proactively moved to a less demanding position, gradually smoothing out her ambitions. Now that she's back, she seems to have picked up the part of herself that she lost. The first project meeting, the partners suddenly changed the requirements, causing chaos on site. Several newcomers were panicked, even messing up the order of the plan. Soo-won took the documents, reorganized the process in 10 minutes, assigned tasks on site, and even prepared the meeting script perfectly. After the meeting, the institution's head Gu Cheng'en looked at her, a hint of appreciation in his eyes. Miss Soo, you are even more composed than I thought. Soo-won smiled. I've done something similar before. Gu Cheng'en didn't ask much, just handed the new project to her to lead. Busy days pass quickly. Soo-won left early and came back late every day, meeting clients, revising plans, securing resources, and even when she returned to her rental apartment at night, she was still reviewing materials, but she didn't feel tired at all. Instead, she felt like she had been reborn, the feeling of no longer revolving around someone, but rather putting time and energy back into herself, was so long overdue that it made her want to cry. 1 week later, she went to the university to discuss a cooperative project. As soon as she entered the conference building, she saw Jo-soo at the end of the corridor. He must have just finished his class, holding some materials, with his usual cold demeanor. But when he recognized Soo-won, his steps noticeably paused. Soo-won was dressed in a professional suit, her hair tied up, holding a folder, with clear and cold eyes. Yet she had gained a bit more composure and sharpness than before. Jo-soo hesitated for 2 seconds before speaking in a low voice. Why are you at school? To discuss a project. You're already working. Okay. With just 2 simple exchanges, Jo-soo felt an inexplicable tightness in his chest. He suddenly realized that he hadn't seen such a Soo-won in a long time. Not the wife who always revolved around the stove in him, nor the one who repeatedly gave way in marriage, but a woman standing in her own position, confident, clear-headed, and captivating. Before the meeting started, Gu Cheng'en walked over from the other side and stood beside Soo-won. The materials are all ready. Let's go in. He said this with a natural posture, obviously indicating a relationship of working side by side with her. Jo-soo watched this scene, his gaze gradually darkening. Soo-won didn't look at him anymore, only nodded at Gu Cheng'en, then turned and walked into the conference room. The sound of high heels clicking on the floor was crisp and decisive. At that moment, Su first clearly realized. After leaving him, Soo-won not only didn't get worse, but instead was living a much better life. And this realization was more uncomfortable than any argument. After leaving you, I have been doing well. Since meeting at school that time, Su began to frequently message Soo-won. At first, it was in a formal tone. The cooperation documents of your organization need one correction. Later, it became daily greetings. Temperatures have dropped recently. Remember to add clothes. Later on, even time became subtle. At 11 o'clock at night, he sent a message. How are you doing? When Soo-won saw it, she only replied with 2 words. Very good. Her reply was polite and restrained, as if she were speaking to an old acquaintance she was no longer close to. But the more so, Su felt his heart constrict. Before, the least he had to worry about was Soo-won leaving. She would remember every lesson he had, remind him to bring documents, warm up meals for him when he came back late from overtime, and even remember things he casually mentioned long after he'd said them. But now, she no longer asks or cares, as if she had completely deleted him from her life. That night, Su couldn't help but directly call him. Soo-won received it very slowly. Is there something? I have something to give you. What? The book you left at home. Soo-won paused. No. You handle it. Su remained silent for a moment. Soo-won, can we meet? The other end was quiet. Only the faint sound of her flipping through documents could be heard, as if she were busy with work. After a few seconds, she spoke calmly. Su, we're already divorced. There's no need to meet unless it's necessary. I just want to talk to you, but I don't want to. In a single sentence. He was speechless for half a moment. Soo-won seemed to notice his silence. Her tone still calm. Anything else? No. Then I'll hang up. Su asked subconsciously. Where are you now? Working overtime. A man's voice came from the other end of the phone. Low but clear. Soo-won, I've sent the materials from the partner's side to your email. Gu Chengin. Su's expression instantly darkened. You're with him. Work. Soo-won said faintly. Su, not all men and women standing together have relationships as ambiguous as yours and Lin Yan. After that, she hung up the phone directly. Su held his phone. Standing in the empty study room with a very unpleasant expression, he experienced helplessness for the first time. It turns out that when a person no longer has you in their heart, even the excuses to get close to her seem redundant. Meanwhile, Soo-won put down her phone. Looking at the pile of project materials on the desk as her lips slowly pressed flat, she didn't say that intentionally to hurt him. She just finally learned to focus her energy on what's worth it. She has indeed been doing well since leaving him, even better than any time before. He first learned that she had endured so much injustice. After that day, Su returned to his old house. He had been living here since the divorce, but rarely took a serious look at this home. The living room was still arranged as before. The kitchen seemed empty without those bottles and jars. And the bedroom was overly quiet. When he opened the bottom shelf of the bookcase, a file folder fell out. Inside is a set of preparation materials he used when reviewing for his professional title 3 years ago, alongside a letter of resignation from his promotion application. With the applicant's name written as Soo-won's, the date was precisely when he was the busiest that year. Su paused, suddenly remembering that there had been an internal promotion opportunity at the company back then. Soo-won clearly met the criteria. Yet she casually said she didn't want to compete. At that time, he only thought she was considerate. Now I only realize that it's not that she didn't want to compete, but that she voluntarily gave way to accommodate his schedule. There was also a shopping receipt in the file folder, recording her purchase of a suit and a tie for him. On the back was written a sentence. Su will have his defense tomorrow. Hope everything goes well. Su clutched that piece of paper in his hand, feeling his chest tighten as if being slowly strangled. He continued to flip through and saw a stack of hospital bills. That was the follow-up medical record after Soo-won's miscarriage. At the bottom of the medical record, the doctor had handwritten a note, suggesting that family members accompany her and pay attention to her emotional recovery. On that date, he was accompanying Lin Yan to an off-campus dinner. He didn't even know Soo-won went for another checkup alone later. He stood in place, suddenly feeling short of breath. Turns out the grievances she had endured were far more than he had seen. It wasn't just a few arguments or simple misunderstandings, but the fact that she was gradually ignored, sidelined, and sacrificed in the marriage, until finally, she refused to take him back. So leaned against the desk, not moving for a long time. In the evening, he went to the school logistics office out of impulse, retrieved the monitoring application records of the event site that day. That part of the surveillance footage, strangely, was missing for a few seconds right before and after Lin Yan fell. The staff member said, "Strange." That segment of data was later recovered, possibly due to equipment issues. Su's heart sank bit by bit. If it was truly an equipment issue, why was it exactly those few seconds? If it's not a device issue, then who tampered with it? He stood in the hallway, and for the first time, an awful thought occurred to him. Perhaps that day, Su-won really didn't push anyone. Perhaps, from the beginning, he was in the wrong position. The truth unravels layer by layer. She is far from innocent. Su began investigating Lin Yan, not by going out in the open, but starting from the most obscure places, digging backwards bit by bit. Her research proposal, scholarship recommendation, public event list, and the records of how she handled the experimental data error. The more he looked, the heavier his heart grew. Many matters that should have been processed through the college's unified procedures, Lin Yan could always bypass the process and find him directly. Many of the unavoidable she mentioned in her mouth, in the end, became troubles that others had to clean up for her. What made him even more embarrassed was that he actually bailed her out every single time. A few days later, a student from the same group as Lin Yan found him, looking hesitant. "Teacher Zhou, I don't know if I should say this. You said." That student gritted his teeth and whispered. "Lin Yan has always been saying in the group that you trust her the most and protect her the most. She also said that the headmistress is petty and can't do anything about her. Everyone privately dares not to provoke her." Su's expression suddenly darkened. Who heard these words with their own ears? "We all heard it." The student paused for a moment, then added in a low voice. "Also, the day of the event, she seemed to have loosened the heel of her high heels herself before she fell. I originally thought I was mistaken, but I didn't dare say it." These words struck him like a blow, right to the heart. He suddenly remembered that after Lin Yan fell that day, his first reaction wasn't to explain, but to look at Su-won's eyes. There was no panic in those eyes, only a fleeting calculation. In the evening, while Su was organizing materials in his office, he accidentally discovered and secretly recorded video in an old computer. The scene shows the backstage of a banquet, where Lin Yan is applying makeup in front of a mirror, talking to another girl. "I don't need to worry about Zhou, teacher. He knows how to handle it. As long as I cry, he will definitely stand on my side." The other girl asks, "And what about his wife?" Lin Yan scoffed. "Her. The more she makes a fuss, the more she loses. Men get tired of this most." The video abruptly stopped here. Su stared at the screen, his fingers tightening bit by bit. Even his breathing became heavy. It turns out it wasn't Su-won's suspicion, nor was it the so-called care for students that he claimed. Lin Yan had long figured out his weak points and gradually lured everyone into her game. And he had pushed his own wife to the most embarrassing position with his own hands. The truth was like layers of cloth being torn apart. Once the filth inside was exposed, it could no longer be covered. The person you are protecting has also calculated you. Su hasn't recovered from that video yet, and even more embarrassing things followed one after another. Suddenly, a rumor spread through the academy that Lin Yan had been closely interacting with external project investors recently, and someone even took a photo of her getting into the other person's car late at night. The news spread quickly, and people were even discussing it in the office. The first thing Su heard was a low, mocking tone. She always said she relied on her abilities. Turns out she relies on whoever has resources. When Su heard it, his face was extremely ugly. He instinctively wanted to stop the rumors, but when he thought of the secretly recorded video and what the students had said, his steps stopped abruptly. In the afternoon, Lin Yan came to him proactively, her eyes red, as if she had suffered great injustice. "Teacher, they are all slandering me. Can you help me explain?" If it were in the past, Su would probably have softened long ago, but this time, he just looked at her, his voice cold and without warmth. "What do you want me to explain?" Lin Yan was visibly stunned. "Teacher, don't you believe me anymore?" "What should I believe?" Su stared at her. That you fell down the stairs was an accident. Or that you never plotted behind Su Wan's back. Lin Yan's face turned pale instantly. What are you saying? I don't understand. Zhou Su took out his phone, opened the recorded video, and handed it to her. Lin Yan froze the moment she saw the screen. The next second, she immediately burst into tears. Teacher, I was just joking with my classmates that day. I didn't mean it. Just joking. Zhou Su suddenly laughed. But the smile was chillingly deep. Lin Yan, are you also treating me like an idiot? Lin Yan panicked, reached out to grab his sleeve. But he avoided her hand. Teacher, you can't treat me like this. You clearly said you would take care of me. Zhou Su looked at her and suddenly felt utterly absurd. What she had always cared about was never him as a person. It was the resources in his hands. His reputation. How much trouble he could shield her from. He thought he was protecting a student in need of help. But in the end, he had even become a stepping stone for her to climb up. From now on, don't come to me about your matters. Zhou Su's voice was cold and hard. I won't get involved anymore. Lin Yan's eyes changed, as if she had finally torn off that layer of weakness. Zhou Su, what's the use of you acting morally superior now? She gritted her teeth. It was you who wanted to protect me back then. Now that something has happened. Do you want to clean yourself up? These words struck Zhou Su like a harsh slap, turning his face livid. Yes, it was he who stepped into this himself. The person he was protecting, in the end, not only ruined Su Wan but also calculated him in. She didn't come back to compete with you. She came back to win for herself. Meanwhile, Su Wan's project entered a critical phase. This is an open bidding, and the partner has a strong background. Several institutions are eyeing this resource. Gu Qing'an handed over the most core execution plan to Su Wan, almost putting the success or failure of the entire project on her shoulders. For a whole week, she was preparing at a high intensity. Revise the plan. Revise the budget. Run the site. Coordinate the process. She personally supervised every item. After coming home at night, she often sat in front of the computer working until early morning. Her eyes even becoming bloodshot. But she didn't show any retreat, because she knew very well that this wasn't about proving anything to anyone. It wasn't about proving anything to Zhou Su. Nor was it about showing Lin Yan a favor. She just wanted to win back her position. On the day of the bidding, Su Wan stood on the stage in a black suit, clearly presenting her proposal. She had no extra emotions, but her entire demeanor was like a sword drawn from its sheath, calm, steady, with all her sharpness hidden in precision. The partner in charge from the audience asked Gu Qing'an directly after listening. Will Ms. Su be responsible for this project from now on? Gu Qing'an nodded with a smile. Of course. At that moment, Su Wan suddenly felt a long-lost sense of stability. She was no longer someone's wife. No longer an auxiliary identity by someone's side. She was just herself. After the bidding ended, the organization successfully secured the collaboration. Cheers erupted in the office. And Gu Qing'an rarely took the initiative to treat everyone to a meal. As the gathering wound down, he parked the car downstairs and handed Su Wan a bottle of warm water. You did well today. Su Wan took it, smiling gently. Thank you. Gu Qing'an looked at her, his tone calm. You're more like yourself now. Su Wan hesitated for a moment, then whispered, maybe it's because I'm finally not forcing myself anymore. Just then, Zhou Su happened to be driving past from the school. He saw Su Wan standing under the streetlight from a distance. Her expression relaxed, a faint smile playing on her lips. Gu Qing'an stood beside her, without crossing any boundaries, yet exuding respect and restraint everywhere. The way the two stood side by side was inexplicably glaring. What was even more glaring was the light that had rekindled in Su Wan's eyes. It was the look he hadn't seen in her for a very, very long time. The next day, someone in the academy casually remarked to Zhou Su while chatting, your ex-wife is really impressive. She held everything together in that bidding yesterday. Honestly, it's really a loss for you that someone like her left you. Those words lightly entered her ears, yet they felt like a heavy stone striking her heart. Zhou Su remained silent for a long time before realizing he had no counterargument. Because Su Wan had never come back to compete for a man from the beginning to the end. She just came back to win her own life. And he, once upon a time, had actually lost such a person. Lost with his own hands. The ex-husband began to regret. But I no longer care. Zhou Su blocked Su Wan on a rainy evening. She just came out from the client's side, still holding documents in her hands, and saw him standing at the entrance of the office building from a distance, looking exhausted, as if she had been waiting for a long time. Soo-won paused her steps slightly, but still walked over. Is something wrong? Jo-soo looked at her, his voice tight. I want to talk to you. Speak. She stood under the eaves of the rain, not approaching, nor showing any extra expression, as if handling an unimportant official matter. Jo-soo's throat felt dry, and after a moment, he spoke in a low voice. There was a problem with the surveillance at the event that day. Lin Yan's fall wasn't because of you. Also, many things in the past, I've cleared up. Soo-won listened quietly, not interrupting. Jo-soo continued. She has been using me and has also been speaking ill of you behind your back. Soo-won. I'm sorry. I was wrong. This belated apology was finally spoken, but after Soo-won heard it, she just smiled lightly. So then, Jo-soo was stunned. You've now figured out the truth. No, she's not innocent. And no, I've been wronged. Soo-won looked at him, her tone calm to the point of cruelty. Then what? Jo-soo, what result do you want? Jo-soo's throat tightened. I want to make amends. How can it be made up? He was speechless for a moment. The child is gone. The marriage is gone. And she has already gone through her hardest times alone. Those moments of his absence won't be erased by an apology. Soo-won held the folder tighter, her voice very faint. Actually, you don't have to be this painful. You finally realized that you used to do things wrong. So you're unwilling and uncomfortable, wanting to correct everything. But this doesn't mean I still need you. It's not about unwillingness. Jo-soo said anxiously. Soo-won. I really regret it, but I'm already not hurt anymore. These words were very light, but they cut off everything he wanted to say afterward. Cleanly and decisively, Soo-won looked at him, her eyes without hatred or resentment, only a calmness after completely letting go. Jo-soo. When I was at my most vulnerable, you weren't there. Now that I'm better, it's no longer meaningful for you to turn back. The sound of rain drizzled down. Jo-soo stood in place, feeling as if his chest had been soaked by rain. Heavy and cold, while Soo-won merely nodded politely and turned to leave. Her figure was steady, without the slightest hesitation. He finally realized that she had truly come out. But he, however, was still trapped in the day he lost her. He wants to start over. But I just want to end the past. From that day on, Jo-soo began his belated remorse. He would place the flowers Soo-won once liked at her company's front desk, wait downstairs when she worked late, and proactively shield her from unnecessary difficulties at cooperative meetings. His attitude had become much lower, even it could be said never before so humble. Tae-soo-won has always been cold. She won't take the flowers, returning them exactly as they were. At the dinner party, she politely thanks for the attention and then turns to continue discussing work with others. He waits downstairs all night, but she will only calmly say, Professor Zhou, this will affect my rest. Before getting into the car, she didn't do it on purpose. She just didn't want to have anything to do with the past anymore. That night, Jo-soo waited again at her apartment building. Soo-won came home from work and didn't even stop when she saw him. Soo-won. He hurried after her. I know I was a jerk before. Give me some time. I'll prove I'm not just going to say sorry. Soo-won stopped, looking at him. It was very deep night. The streetlights shone on his face. Even the slight fatigue was clearly visible. She suddenly remembered that she had once waited for him like this too. Until late at night. Until the food got cold. Until her eyes ached. Until the last sentence was you go to sleep first. She never got sympathy in return back then. Jo-soo. She whispered. What you're doing now isn't because you love me more. His expression froze. You've just finally lost. So you can't accept it. You can't stand me not revolving around you. Can't stand I no longer need you. Can't stand you becoming someone insignificant to me. Jo-soo wanted to refute it, but his throat felt blocked as if he couldn't speak a single word. Because Soo-won's words were too accurate. She looked at him, calm to the point of being cold. You want to start over. But I just want to end the past. After speaking, she turned and went upstairs. The next day, Zhou's mother actually found Soo-won's company. She was much more polite than before, even somewhat fawning. Xiao-won. Mom knows we were wrong in the past. Jo-soo has been completely off lately, considering the years of feelings. Can't you give him another chance? Soo-won listened, just quietly looking at her. It's true that people only learn to bow their heads after losing, but some opportunities aren't given again just because someone wants them. Just as you once treated me with contempt. Now you beg me like this. Soo-won went to the coffee shop downstairs from the company with Joe's mother. There weren't many people, and the environment was quiet, making it very suitable for having a clear conversation. After Joe's mother sat down, she first said, with red eyes, how bad Jo-soo's condition had been recently: sleepless at night, distracted during the day, and even nearly making mistakes in class. Towards the end, she sighed and said, Xiao-won, men can sometimes be slow on the uptake, but in his heart, he still has you. After Soo-won heard this, she suddenly smiled lightly. During my hardest times, who was there for me in their heart? Mother Jo froze. When I had a high fever and waited for him alone at the restaurant, where were you? When I miscarried and was hospitalized, alone for follow-up, where were you again? I filed for divorce. You came to my house, not asking if I'm hurt, but blaming me for not having enough tolerance. Soo-won looked up at her, her voice not loud but clear. Now you all come begging me one by one because you've finally realized that I'm not the person who will keep enduring this forever. Mother Jo's face turned pale, her lips moved. Xiao-won, Mom knows I spoke harshly before. It wasn't just a bit harsh. Soo-won interrupted her. It was contemptuous. The moment those words were spoken, Mother Jo froze completely. Soo-won put the cup back on the table, her expression calm. You always think I can't live without Jo-soo. So you can keep asking me to understand, to compromise, to be sensible. You take the grievances I've endured for granted, and you think my kindness is something that will never disappear. But the human heart isn't used like that. Jo's mother's eyes reddened. Xiao-won, Mom's begging you, don't ask me. Soo-won whispered lightly. The way you once looked down on me, now you ask me like this. It's fair. Mother Jo stared at her, as if she were truly getting to know this former gentle and quiet daughter-in-law for the first time. It turns out she wasn't unable to be sharp. She just used to keep all her sharpness hidden. Soo-won stood up, adjusted his coat, and finally looked at her, saying, I don't hate you anymore. But I won't turn back. What happens to Jo-soo in the future is his own business. It's none of my concern. After she finished speaking, she turned and left. Jo-moo sat in place, not moving for a long time. Until this moment, she truly realized that Soo-won, who was once willing to endure any amount of hardship to maintain the family, really no longer existed. Her lies finally collapsed completely. Lin Yan's incident happened 2 weeks later. First, an anonymous post on the school forum leaked a set of screenshots. Content involving her stealing videos, privately guiding public opinion, and using her special relationship with teachers to get project advantages. Then, someone filed a real-name complaint, suspecting her of tampering with and ghostwriting research data. Once the news broke, the school exploded. The college established an investigation team overnight, and relevant chat records and surveillance materials were also retrieved. The originally missing activity surveillance was also recovered through technology. Finding the key parts, the video clearly shows that Lin Yan deliberately twisted her shoe heel while stepping onto the stage, and after turning back to see Soo-won approaching, she intentionally fell backward. Once the truth came out, all the trends changed. Those who had previously sympathized with her began to turn against her, the tears she had once used to portray her vulnerability now becoming a joke. More fatally, the external investor, to distance himself, voluntarily handed over the flirtatious messages and resource exchange hints she had previously sent. Her carefully crafted image of innocence collapsed overnight. The school quickly issued a statement, suspending all project qualifications for Lin Yan and initiating a formal investigation into related academic issues. Soo-won was revising a proposal in her office when she saw the news. A colleague passed over the phone and whispered, Isn't this the student who was rumored to be involved with your ex-husband? Soo-won glanced at it and pushed the phone back. Okay. Her tone was too calm as if she were looking at a stranger completely unrelated to her. That afternoon, Lin Yan rushed to her company's building in a frenzy. Her hair was messy, her eyes red, completely losing her once pitiful appearance. The receptionist couldn't stop her. The moment she saw Soo-won, she rushed over, her voice trembling and sharp. It's all your fault. It's all because of you that hurt me. Su-won took a step back, looking at her coldly. It's your own actions. What does it have to do with me? If it weren't for your persistent refusal to let me go, the teacher wouldn't have investigated me. And the school wouldn't have either. After listening, Su-won only found it laughable. Lin Yen, no one forced you to film secretly, no one forced you to lie, and no one forced you to climb up by stepping on others. She stared at her, saying word by word, what collapsed wasn't just luck. It was retribution. Lin Yan's face twisted, as if she still wanted to lunge forward, but was stopped by the security guards. She cried and cursed, looking a complete wreck. Su-won stood in place, suddenly feeling no satisfaction at all, because to her, these people and these things were no longer worth her wasting her emotions on. The lies all collapsed. It was the outcome they deserved. And she just wanted to keep moving forward. The one who should be apologizing the most is the me who lost the child. It rained very heavily that night. When Su-won finished her work and left the company, she found Jo-soo standing under the streetlight across the street. His clothes almost soaked through, yet seemingly feeling no cold. Always looking at her. She could have avoided it, but for some reason, she still stopped in her tracks. Jo-soo walked quickly over, his eyes red, his voice hoarse. I know you don't want to see me, but I still want to say some things. Su-won said nothing. The sound of rain fell onto the ground, splashing up a fine mist. Jo-soo stood before her, as if he had finally shed all his dignity and restraint. I know everything about Lin Yan. The surveillance has also been restored, he whispered. Su-won, every time I think back to the way you fell that day, I feel like I'm not human. Su-won quietly watched him. But there wasn't much disturbance in her heart. Jo-soo's Adam's apple rolled as he continued. I used to think I had done nothing wrong, that I was just taking care of the students, just afraid things would get out of hand. But later I realized, I wasn't entirely wrong. I was always using reason and responsibility as excuses to hide my bias and arrogance. His voice grew quieter. It was me who pushed you into that. Su-won finally spoke slowly upon hearing this. The person you should apologize to the most isn't me now. Jo-soo was stunned. It's the me who lost my child. She looked at him, her eyes very calm, yet more heart-wrenching than any crying or screaming. It's the me who stood alone in the hospital corridor holding the pregnancy test report, watching you with someone else. It's the me lying on the operating table, even without my husband by my side. Jo-soo's face turned paler and paler. Su-won continued. Back then, I was still waiting for you to look at me. Waiting for you to tell me that at least me and the child weren't completely forgotten by you. But you didn't. All your regrets later couldn't catch up with that day. Rainwater slid down Jo-soo's hairline, a moistness appearing in his eyes, his voice almost trembling. I'm sorry. Su-won watched him, and suddenly felt very light. I accept your apology, she said, but I won't forgive you enough to go back to you. When these words fell, the last bit of forced emotion in Jo-soo's eyes finally collapsed completely. He cried. But I had long outgrown the age of being soft-hearted. Jo-soo really cried. Not a breakdown in tears, but standing in the rain, his eyes gradually turning red, his voice hoarse beyond recognition. Su-won had known him for so many years and had never seen him like this before. Jo-soo was always restrained, calm, as if he would never lose control. But now, standing before her, he couldn't even maintain the last bit of dignity. If I said, I'd be willing to spend all the time from now on to make it up to you, could you still? No. Su-won cut him off. Directly, without the slightest hesitation. Jo-soo seemed frozen in place by these two words, his breathing stopping. Su-won looked at him, her voice very soft but extremely steady. Jo-soo, I've long passed the age of being soft-hearted. Before, one explanation from you, and I could find countless excuses for you. You came home late, and I would comfort myself by thinking you were busy. You protected others. And I would also persuade myself not to overthink it. But later, I realized that not all wounds are worth forgiving. Some mistakes aren't erased just by admitting them. Some people, once lost, are truly lost. Jo-soo's lips turned white. I know I don't have the right to ask you to turn back. But I know. Su-won said calmly. I know you regret it. And I also know you're really hurting now. But this isn't something I'm responsible for. The last regretful days of her life were when she took others' mistakes as her own lessons. Trying time and again to earn appreciation through patience and understanding. Now she doesn't anymore. A car slowly stopped by the roadside. Gu Qing'an got out of the driver's seat, held an umbrella, and walked to her side. He didn't ask much more. Just tilted the umbrella slightly over her head. It's raining so hard. Let's get in the car first. Su Wan nodded. Okay. Zhou Su looked at the two standing shoulder to shoulder. And his expression gradually turned gray. Gu Qing'an was gentle in demeanor but naturally maintained a certain distance. Without a single superfluous word, nor making any deliberate declarations. Yet, it was precisely because of this that it made his past overstepping favoritism seem even more ridiculous. Before Su got on the bus, she glanced back at Zhou Su one last time. Don't wait for me anymore, she whispered. I won't be coming back. The door closed, and the sound of rain was cut off outside. Zhou Su stood there, tears finally breaking free. Unfortunately, she can no longer see. What happens next has nothing to do with you. Before autumn ends, Su Wan is officially promoted to the project's chief person in charge. The new office isn't large, but it has a whole wall of bright floor-to-ceiling windows. She places the green plant she brought from her marital home by the window, watching it sprout new tender leaves. And suddenly feels that life might really be able to grow again. Gu Qing'an asked if she wanted to consider long-term cooperation and had even frankly expressed appreciation. Su Wan didn't refuse, nor did she rush to agree to anything. She knew she was no longer resisting new relationships. But she knew even better that she didn't need anyone to prove her completeness at the moment. She could already live well by herself. On the other side, Zhou Su's days grew increasingly dull. The matter of Lin Yan was finally settled, and she was stripped of her degree qualification and publicly announced. Internally, Zhou Su was also given a warning. Though there was no actual penalty, that invisible layer of gray still fell on his career. More importantly, after returning home, he was always faced with an empty house. No one reminds him where to store seasonal clothes anymore. No one remembers his favorite soup flavor anymore. No one leaves the lights on late at night. And no one brings hot water and medicine when his stomach hurts. Those things he once took for granted only became sharp one by one after losing them. Mother Zhou has visited a few times, wanting to encourage him to cheer up. But every time she mentions Su Wan, Zhou Su remains silent as if his soul has been torn out. He finally realizes that some people aren't important only after they leave. It has always been important, just that he realized too late. One weekend, Su Wan moved into a new place. Not big, but quiet. With a view of tree shadows outside the window, she arranged the books one by one on the shelves, washed and put away the new tableware, and finally stood in the center of the living room. Suddenly feeling her heart was full. It wasn't fullness filled with love. It's the kind of peace of mind that comes from finally having brought oneself back home. In the evening, she went downstairs to buy groceries and saw a familiar car parked across the street. Zhou Su was sitting in the car, not getting out, just quietly gazing at her through the car window. Su Wan averted her gaze and turned away calmly. She felt neither anger nor sadness, because she knew very well that her later life had nothing to do with him anymore. I finally gave myself back to myself. When the first snow of winter fell, Su Wan went to the riverside alone. The wind was cold, blowing the scarf gently up. She stood by the railing, looking at the distant grayish-white sky and the river surface, when she suddenly remembered 3 years ago. When she had just married, she had also come here with Zhou Su. She thought back then that she would walk a long way with this person. Later she realized that some people appear in life not to accompany you to the end, but to teach you that some paths can only be walked out by yourself. The phone rang. It was a message from the organization celebrating the project's success. The group chat was lively, with everyone making plans for a dinner together. Gu Qing'an sent her a message alone. It's snowing. The roads are slippery. Be careful. Su Wan looked at the message, her lips slowly curving into a faint smile. It wasn't the kind of warmth she used to cautiously earn, but when she finally stood firm, the world gave her back composure and kindness. She put her phone away and looked up towards the distance. The grievances that drove her on night expeditions, the favored treatment she could not obtain, those days when she didn't dare to let go even with tears, finally slowly faded away in this year. The shadow of these 5. She no longer resents Zhou Su for speaking. Nor does she hate Lin Yan. Not because they deserve to be forgiven, but because her life should not continue to be bound by the past. She has finally learned to take the love she gives others back from herself and return it to herself. Dusk falls. Snow lightly on her shoulders. Su-won turned around and walked back. Her steps steady and stable. The road ahead is still long. Perhaps there will be new emotions, new choices, new scenery. But no matter what the future holds, she will never again lose herself for anyone, because she had already lost once. And for this reason, she understood that what truly mattered had finally become unclear. Who deleted it? Who cried begging her to stay? But she couldn't piece herself back together after those broken pieces. Luckily this time, she succeeded. She finally gave herself back to herself.